Good morning, Earthlings. How are you today? Well, we've made it to the end of a week. Will we make it through the weekend? That is going to be the questions we're going to ask on today's show. We're going to explore what has been going on in the world and what will be going on this weekend. There's actually a number of things that have culminated into this point in time where we are now situated, so we need to explore these things, consider what it means, and move forward from there. So we're going to do that over the course of this show. In the meantime, our date for today, the dream spell date, the 13 moon calendar date, it's a blue day. Blue, self-existing hand. Now blue is the color of transformation. Self-existing is tone number 4. It's the self-existing tone of form. And the symbol is the hand. Well, you can create with the hand or you can destroy with the hand. It's called the hand of accomplishment. And the guide for today is the night, N-I-G-H-T, as in nighttime, dreams, abundance, intuition, those sort of ideas. So altogether we have the blue self-existing hand guided by the night. The phrase for today is, I define in order to know, measuring healing. I seal the store of accomplishment with a self-existing tone of form. I am guided by the power of abundance. On the Gregorian calendar, it is Friday, May 20th, 2011. 11. So that brings us up to speed with today's date. What we've got going on now, as we do each and every day, is news with Dirk Bradshaw. Let's see where we got this news all situated here. Where is the news for Dirk Bradshaw today? I am guessing this might be it right here. So, Dirk, I'm going to send you over to Dirk Bradshaw right now. Without further ado, Dirk, over to you.
Next up on the Cosmic News Network, the Cosmic News with Dirk Bradshaw.
Hey, it's Johnny B. Free for freeinla.com. And want to go see a free concert tonight? Want to go see some free comedy? Want a free dinner? Want something free, for goodness sakes? Well, then go to freeinla.com. With over 3,000 things to do for free, I'm sure you can find something you can do tonight. Freeinla.com is asking you, what are you doing tonight?
Flying high above the planet Earth, this is the Cosmic News with Dirk Bradshaw. Brought to you by CosmicNewsNetwork.com. Hey there, boys and girls. What's the happening? This is your old pal Dirk Bradshaw with that Cosmic News. It tastes so good this time. Well, we know now we have available to us a new physics that governments have weaponized and kept secret from the world. Could be used to cure all diseases, offer the world cheap energy, and might even clean up the planet in the process. So why haven't you heard about it? Well, tonight we've unleashed our real X-File experts to look into it. We're going to get their full report coming up in just 1 second.
I made this video for people who want the truth about aliens and UFOs from the perspective of a physicist/engineer/scientist who has done his homework on the subject. Let's start with some history. Alright. On July 8, 1947, the Roswell Army Airfield issued a press release stating that personnel from the field's 509th Bomb Group had recovered a crashed flying disc from a ranch near Roswell, New Mexico. The next day, the story changed to a weather balloon, and the government and media have been working together to bury the story ever since. What fascinated me most about the incident, and leads me to believe that this definitely could not have been a weather balloon, is the reports of the debris and the descriptions given by rural farmers in a time and place where these things were just unheard of, and could not have possibly been made up by any stretch of imagination. Jesse Marcel says that these pictures were a photo op of them holding a weather balloon. He claims that these are not the original debris. He describes the foil that he saw as an ultra-thin, mirror-smooth film like mylar which you could crinkle up into a tiny ball, and that when you set it back down would eventually unfold itself and stretch out flat, becoming mirror-smooth again with no signs of damage. It could also not be cut with a pocket knife. I can and will explain what this material is. The government and their weather balloon fairy tale cover story cannot. There have been hundreds of top-secret research projects conducted by the military, including studies on UFOs and ET phenomena. Black operations are real. The Manhattan Project successfully developed the atomic bomb with a staff of over 130,000 people while managing to keep the entire project secret. But the most super secretive of all is the infamous Area 51 Groom Dry Lake Test Facility located north-northwest of Las Vegas, Nevada. The largest hangar on the complex, number 18, allegedly has a tunnel complex beneath it that goes deep underground to a subterranean base. The hangar is 100 feet tall and is 300 by 300 feet wide, almost the size of a football stadium. I'm going to give you a brief glimpse of what might be possibly going on inside there and let you decide what you think is real or not. We'll start with the most fundamentally important piece of technology, the one that makes it possible for the visitors to travel the incredibly long distances to actually come here and visit our planet. I want to point out that as long as I can prove that interstellar space travel is possible, the argument for the existence of extraterrestrials and the possibility of them visiting our planet becomes inevitable. All of these flying saucer-type UFOs utilize the same basic propulsion system, the superfluid anti-gravity centrifuge engine. On the inside of every disk is a hollow donut, or torus. The torus is wound with an electrical coiling specific to vortex geometry. The inside of the torus is hollow and filled with a very special kind of fluid with two very important characteristics. It is both a ferrofluid, which has magnetic properties, and a superfluid, which achieves zero viscosity when supercooled, making it flow with no resistance, as well as changing the quantum phase statistics which govern its motion. The fluid particles become bosons instead of fermions, and the quantum phase statistics which govern their motion change. The fluid becomes a boson instead of a fermion and no longer obeys the Pauli exclusion principle. And that's when all kinds of interesting things begin to happen. The most interesting is gravitomagnetic space-time warping and the creation of artificial gravity vortexes. These would suck the space-time in around the sides of the craft and spit it out through the bottom, creating a wave for the craft to ride on, so to speak. Of course, it's all theoretical, that is, until the results of NASA's Gravity Probe B come back in late fall of this year. Then we will know for a fact if it is possible to create a strong enough gravity vortex to counter the Earth's or propel us through space at ludicrous speeds. Gravity Probe B will test the predictions of Einstein's general theory of relativity by measuring the curvature precession of rotating superspherical quartz crystals. The spheres are coated with a superconducting niobium and rotated in the most accurate gyroscope ever built by man. The rotating superconductors have the same effect as a rotating superfluid because they are both Bose-Einstein condensates. The gyroscopes are then loaded into an apparatus and placed into a tank of liquid helium called the Dewar vessel, which will keep them supercooled below their lambda point. For additional information on Gravity Probe B, just go to nasa.gov. Most of you have already seen my other video on anti-gravity. If not, then be sure to check it out. I'll have a more comprehensive and detailed mathematical analysis on the subject once the data gets sorted by NASA and released to the public, hopefully unsanitized. The next argument I bring up is also grounded in pure science and leads to the same inevitable conclusion that whatever crashed in Roswell in 1947 definitely wasn't built by our government or any other on Earth, nor could it likely even be built today. Here is a regular ordinary salt crystal which has a periodic or repeating structure. Here are some examples of two-dimensional tilenes with periodic structure. Here is a diamond lattice which has tetrahedral symmetry and was the strongest structure known to man until quasicrystals were found to be harder than diamond, and lighter too. Quasicrystals are different from normal crystals in that they have aperiodic, seemingly random structures that exhibit symmetries that were formerly thought to be impossible. These X-ray diffraction photos show the symmetry of some different quasicrystals. See if you can pause it and count the lines of symmetry. by seeing how many places you could fold it to get a mirror image on both sides. 12, 10, 8, and 5-fold symmetries. The 5-fold symmetry, or icosahedral symmetry, is by far the most fascinating. A recent study by Princeton built this model of an icosahedral quasicrystal and found that it could bend fiber optic signals at 90-degree angles without losing any signal quality. Here are 2 aluminum alloys with icosahedral symmetry and a list of different alloys which form quasicrystals with various symmetries. Quasicrystals are the zenith of material science. This is nanotechnology at its finest. Quasicrystals will allow us to build nanocomputers that use photons, or light particles, instead of electrons, making them faster and smaller than ever before thought possible. Not just the aliens' computers are made of quasicrystals, nearly the entire craft. The craft is built of a super light, ultra-durable material, which can only be manufactured in the zero-gravity environment of space. Through a special process of refining and purifying aluminum and blending with various isotopic transformations, the materials are heated and melted, injected into molds, and cooled under a variety of artificially created electromagnetic and ultrasonic conditions to ensure uniformity in the quasicrystalline lattice. No alien spacecraft is complete without a built-in cloaking device, and this is now scientifically possible thanks to the discovery of metamaterials. The idea of invisible aliens opens up an entire new realm of possibilities for the silent watchers who monitor our planetary civilization. Digging up the truth about aliens requires intense thinking and rigorous logical testing. There is a good chance that our planet is like a giant ant colony for them to just sit and watch. We must be fascinating creatures for them to study, although not as fascinating as it is for us to study them. The alien anatomy is another subject of interest. These space creatures are the results of thousands of years of genetic modifications, DNA splicing, and other forms of genetic tinkering. The huge eyes are an advanced combination of different ocular sensors with incredibly high resolution and magnification that can even see things outside the visible spectrum. Just as eagles can see things in much higher detail than humans, aliens could likely read a newspaper print from a football field away. The body is designed for space travel, with long arms and super adroit fingers. Many pictures show 6 fingers on each hand, but I find the 6th digit to be redundant to the needs of dactyl dexterity. 4 to 5 fingers is optimal. The brain is much larger than a human's, and the aliens also use a larger percentage of their actual brain power. The neural networks are reconfigured in certain areas, such as the primary visual cortex, to account for the larger signal capacity and processing from the eyes. The skin is a plant-animal hybrid with chlorophyll to produce sugars from sunlight. Nearly every aspect of the alien anatomy has been super-engineered to create the perfect explorer race. Well, that's enough for now. I hope you enjoyed the video, and that it leads you on a quest to learn more about these things. Remember to rate it 5 stars and subscribe to my channel. I look forward to your comments and questions. Stay tuned for more videos in this series as I release them. Thank you.
Oh, man, I can't believe it's over. Where does the time go? Well, I see the fat lady's off the stage. She's looking right at me. It's time for me to go put her to bed. I hate goodbyes. So instead I'm going to say, until we meet again, I'm Dirk Bradshaw for the Cosmic News. Wake up.
Next up on the Cosmic News Network, the Cosmic News.
What if our government was responsible for some of the greatest crimes against this nation? Would you really want to know? These are big questions. but these questions deserve answers. It's time to demand the truth.
People should not be afraid of their governments. Governments should be afraid of people.
9/11 was an inside job. Kennedy was killed by the CIA. Jimmy Carter saw a UFO. Answers to secrets you need to know. So wake up, wake up, wake up, wake up. Wake up, wake up, wake up. Wake up, wake up, wake up, wake up. Wake up, wake up, wake up. The evidence is overwhelming. Step past your fear, take a look. Illuminati lies keep growing. What they're losing from your eyes. And wake up, wake up, wake up, wake up. Wake up, wake up, wake up. Wake up, wake up, wake up, wake up. Wake up, wake up, wake up. What would our founding fathers say if they were alive today? Must be turning in their graves. Redcoats are coming, Big Brother's watching. Wake up, wake up, wake up, wake up. Wake up, wake up, wake up. Wake up, wake up, wake up, wake up. Wake up, wake up, wake up. One if by land and two if by sea, and I on the opposite shore will be ready to ride and spread the alarm through every Middlesex village and farm. Whenever any form of government becomes destructive of these ends, it is the right of the people to alter or abolish it. When a long train of abuses and usurpations, pursuing invariably the same object, evinces a design to reduce them under absolute despotism, it is their right, it is their duty to throw off such government and to provide new guards for their future security. Wake up, wake up, wake up, wake up. Wake up, wake up, wake up. Wake up, wake up, wake up, wake up. Wake up, wake up, wake up. Wake up, wake up, wake up, wake up. Wake up, wake up, wake up. Wake up, wake up, wake up, wake up. Wake up, wake up, wake up. Patriots arise. It's time to demand the truth.
All right, everybody.
This is the UFO News with Joshua Poet.
Thank you very much, Dirk. This is the UFO news for today. All right, let's get started here. We're going to hit a number of stories. You can find these up at our First Contact Radio page. This is a subject I'm sure will be discussed for some time. Was the Roswell UFO really a Nazi-inspired Soviet aircraft? Talked about this yesterday. Read a little bit here. It says Area 51 has long been a mecca for alien enthusiasts and conspiracy theorists interested in uncovering the dark, deep secrets. This week, journalist Annie Jacobson published a book entitled Area 51, An Uncensored History of America's Top Secret Military Base, an attempt to reveal some of America's best-kept UFO legends. In her book, Jacobson claims a particularly interesting alternative theory to the infamous 1947 UFO crash in Roswell, New Mexico. Basing her premise on Area 51 history as well as an interview with an unnamed former engineer who worked at the base, she believed it was not aliens at all who touched down, but rather a Nazi-inspired Soviet spy plane. To truly understand where she's coming from, it's important to understand the main purpose of Area 51. In the 50s, the base was associated with the Atomic Energy Commission and used the nearby Nevada test and training range to test atomic bombs. Because of the nature of these tests, Jacobson says everything happening in Area 51 was born classified. To be sure, the CIA, Lockheed, and the Pentagon worked together at the base to develop spy planes such as the U-2, the A-12, Oxcart, while also reverse engineering Cold War Soviet aircraft. According to Jacobson, Stalin used captured Nazi aircraft designs to create a new class of planes. As part of the supposed Orson Welles-inspired War of the World plans, the Soviet dictator decided to send a heavily modified aircraft to crash in the Nevada desert. Jacobson says Stalin had the infamous Dr. Joseph Mengele provide surgically altered, grotesque, child-sized avatars who were supposed to climb in and out of the plane, purportedly to confuse people with thinking they were aliens from outer space. While the plane crashed in Roswell, some gullible Americans were tricked into the so-called plot. Effective. Jacobson believes the survivors of the Roswell crash may have been transported to Area 51, where they were likely experimented upon for decades. Which theory is more out there, aliens or grotesque child-sized avatars flying a Nazi-inspired Soviet plane? You decide. Alright, what's this one here? This is something you might want to look into. It's a video about the space shuttle launch that took off, and according to this, he's saying there's a couple of let's see. Okay. See if we can see this here. Alright. I can barely see something there. It's in the clouds. There you go. Okay, a little bigger at that point in time. Yep. Certainly is. There's something there. So this video will be up at our page there for you to check it out, see what you think. Here's one. My mom talks to aliens. This is over at UFO Digest. This is a documentary by Australian company SBSI. It's available on their website and also posted on YouTube. The documentary features Mary Rodal, who is described as Australia's leading authority on extraterrestrial phenomena, and her son Chris. Mary has devoted the past 15 years to her life to the study of alien visitation, and her son is a vegetarian. The hour-long film follows the two of them for 8 days as they struggle to reconcile their differences regarding their belief in aliens visiting the Earth. Chris has been trained to consider things from an evidential viewpoint, and that's really where the crux of the conflict lies, as he seeks some concrete evidence that will help him understand his mom's obsession. So there's a lot more to this article. Check it out. It's quite interesting. In Fort Worth the other day, we had a situation that I showed you the video, and there's speculation out there that this was an alien attack. As a matter of fact, if you go to Google right now and you type in alien attack Fort Worth, you'll find an article. But there really isn't, as far as I found yet, any confirmation that this is exactly what happened, an attack. However, we are going to look at the video right here, and in the course of this video, you can see at the beginning when these lights first start being projected from the ground, right about here, I think is where they come in. There we go. Right about this point, at 18 seconds into the video, you start to see just to the left of the middle of the screen, about halfway up, you see a little light there. And as it keeps going, there's a second one down a little lower that shoots across. Now, I've looked at these over and over and over, and these two lights are here, and shortly after this first few seconds where they show up, they disappear, they're gone. I haven't seen them come back in. And at no time at all do I see anything that is being projected downward from the ship to the ground. No light, nothing that would indicate any sort of energy or movement of anything. All the activity seems to be focused from the ground on up. They're calling this an attack, according to this one article. However, it doesn't seem that whatever is above is attacking what is below. It seems that whatever is below is actually doing the attacking, or maybe even signaling, because the lights are somewhat reminiscent of Close Encounters of the Third Kind. So check this out, see what you think about that, and that should make for an interesting bit of research, because what they're saying that these were transformers. However, there's been reports of transformers blowing up throughout the United States. Now, you hear comments out there, this happens a lot, transformers blow. Okay, that's quite possible. There's a lot going on right now. Maybe it's out of the norm for what normally happens. There was one that happened in Los Angeles, down by UCLA. Apparently it knocked a manhole cover off into a bus. The bus driver was okay, but was taken to the hospital, apparently quite shaken up. No one was hurt on the bus, but this is, one of those transformers that apparently blew. Why are these things happening? I don't know. Maybe it's normal. Maybe there's something more going on. Whatever the case, they're saying in some instances that it was an alien attack. So you look at this information, do a little bit of research for yourself, see what you think about this. All right? See what you think about that. I'm going to, in the meantime, jump to a song. When I get back, we're going to talk about the things that are taking place in the world as we speak. All right? Stay tuned. I'll be right back. This song is called Confirm or Deny.
I have come here to chew bubblegum and kick ass. And I'm all out of bubblegum. Oh, shit. Underground is where they live. In the bases that are secrets live. We're not supposed to know where they come from or where they go. And if you ask our leaders today, this is what they will say. I can neither confirm or deny. I can neither confirm or deny. I can neither confirm or deny. What's up with their lives? Plausible deniability. That's their answer to all we think we see. So pay attention, read between the lines. Changes are happening, revealing lies. And if you ask our leaders today, this is what they will say. I can neither confirm or deny. I can neither confirm or deny. I can neither confirm or deny. What's up with their lies? Underground is where they live. In the bases that are secretive. We're not supposed to know where they come from or where they go. And if you ask our leaders today, this is what they will say. I can neither confirm or deny. I can neither confirm or deny. I can neither confirm or deny. What's up with their lies? I can neither confirm or deny. They can neither confirm or deny.
deny. It's time for them, confirm or deny. No more secret life. I don't know about you, but I can't stand it anymore. I know what I saw. You know what you saw. Stand up for yourself. Think for yourself. The truth is out there. No more lies.
All right, I'm back. Welcome back, everybody. Seem to be sinking here. Okay, here we go. All right, so what we want to get into here is a discussion of what's going on in the world right now. I've got this little graphic here I made. So let me bring this up for you to look at. There we go. Okay. It says that tomorrow, May 21st, is going to be the rapture. Now, I know there's a lot of people out there that are laughing about this situation, planning on, telling them to send money to, since they're going to be raptured, send money to places, since they're not going to need it anymore. There are those who are talking about what they're going to be doing on the next day, and all I could say is this. I have to wonder, when I read through the books, when I read through Revelation, when I read through all the prophecy, it always talks about the people in those days who will be laughing. So I just wonder, those of you who are laughing, did you ever think when you grew up that you would be one of those that the book was going to be talking about as laughing at God? Because that's what you're doing. Who's to say whether or not tomorrow's the rapture? Everybody wants to say that Howard Camping is wrong, but if you think about it, he stood on his faith. He made a prediction before, it was inaccurate. Think how much more difficult it probably has been for him to do it this time, knowing that we live in a world full of critics that are ready to criticize his every move and whatever he's going to say about this regard. And he stood on his faith to pass a message to the world because he believes this spiritual event is going to happen. I think anybody who's putting him down for doing so should question themselves, because he shouldn't be put down. He should be looked at as someone exercising his faith. Revelation is being fulfilled. People are laughing. There are rumors of wars all over the place. There are signs in the sky. We're in a very crazy time. And if he feels and wants to spread this message, I think that we should have some consideration for what he's doing without all the criticism. After all, wasn't Noah warned? And didn't a lot of people laugh at Noah? Who knows what's going to happen tomorrow? Who knows? Only God knows what's going to happen. It's for the humans, for the beings, the earthlings down here to figure that out. Try to make some sense of it all. So rather than pointing your finger at any other human, why don't you look at yourself and why don't you see what it is that you are supposed to learn from this situation? Because I'm guessing it's a whole lot more than just being a skeptic and pointing your finger at somebody else, and certainly not about laughing at God. I don't think I would suggest doing that. Okay, now, next on our list, we have the female NLEs, which are taking place right now, 5/16 to the 5/20. Now, with the NLEs, there's a concern that HAARP has been triggering a number of these floods which have taken place, and they are going to further trigger a large earthquake along the New Madrid fault zone. So that's another issue. On this list also, we have Comet Elenin, which is out there. And as Comet Elenin is coming around and making her circle or its circle around the planet, it is in alignment with the Earth now, and almost as if If you think about going down a highway and Earth is now in front of this large semi, and as we've kind of moved around in our circle movement here around, we've pulled in front of the semi. We're not directly in front of it, but close enough that we might be able to feel the effects of it. So we've got that going on, and there are thoughts out there that the last couple times when we got in this particular alignment of the Earth and Comet Elenin, that there was some interesting gravitational effects, that the Japan earthquake happened during this time and the earthquake in Australia happened at this time. Now there's also the talk about Comet Elenin. NASA says that there's something flying behind it, possibly spaceships. Then we have the UFOs and the transformers that are blowing up and what is said to be a UFO attack, which we're not quite so certain of. And then you have the false flag concern. And this is ever since the big bin Laden lie that Obama came out with, that he was the one who finally killed bin Laden, somebody who's been reported dead for 9 times prior to this. Obama took care of him. So ever since this has gone on, if you notice, the news just keep planting all kinds of stories that there's going to be a attack on the United States. Attack on the United States. They keep pointing the finger at Pakistan. They keep pointing the finger at China. They want to blame somebody else. They want to blow a nuke up on this land, and they want to blame somebody else. So between Howard Camping's 21st prophecy, the FEMA NLE, which has a concern that around the 20th or 21st a big earthquake is going to be triggered, Comet Elenin, which comes into alignment from the 20th to the 22nd around that time, and in not the final alignment with us or the closest point, but in an alignment that it's thought might have some effect. Just those 3 things right there, all coinciding at the same time, add to it the UFOs and the false flag concerns, and well, you've got some things to think about, don't you, this weekend? Because let's say a couple of these things happen. Let's say Comet Elenin has an effect and it creates some disturbance on this planet. Let's say it's not Comet Elenin. Let's say that there's a HARP triggered event, more flooding, more earthquakes. Let's say Revelation does happen. Got a lot of different choices here. But when things coincide, that many things are coincidental, well, you have to believe that there's some truth in all of there. And all of this is pointing to something is going on, that all of these events are gathering around. So it's a good time to pay attention. Don't laugh. Pay attention. Just see what's going on, because this is all about your soul and your soul growth. If you've lived a long, hard life and you've really tried to be a good person, why at this point in the game suddenly change things up and start being a skeptic or laughing at other people who are just trying to put the word out to help others? I don't think Howard Camping had any ill intent when he said this prophecy, other than to tell people this was going on. Be joyful, for a great time is at hand. So let's look at the way we treat each other on this planet, folks. All you skeptics out there, man, what's up? Why, what I find, skeptics want to know more than anybody else. That's why they're skeptical. So for all of you skeptics, I challenge you to go inside and look inside yourself, and you will find that you really do want to know the truth about UFOs. You really do want to know about the truth about rapture and all of these things. That's why you're skeptical, because you're having a hard time understanding things, and you really do want to know. So I understand. If you see someone out there, folks, that's skeptical, have compassion for them, because they're just confused and they just want to know, just like everybody else. So with all these things going on, I found an interesting story here that kind of ties into this. This is Right Network, gatewaypundit.rightnetwork.com, and in here it says, Obama tells Israel turn over the tomb of Jesus to Hamas. Now, I don't know if those are the exact words. It says, today when Barack Obama told Israel to move back to the 1967 borders, he effectively gave half of Jerusalem, the Wailing Wall, the Temple Mount, Old Jerusalem, the holiest Christian church in the world, the Church of the Holy Sepulchre, to the Hamas, Fatah terror alliance. So, if there's truth to this, that Obama is wanting to turn over all of these holy spots to a terrorist network, do you think in any way that fits into some of the thought out there that Obama's the Antichrist? That Obama, pointed out by Jesus, is Satan from the heights? Barack Obama, lightning from the heights? I mean, with some activities like this, these aren't the activities I would see of someone very Christ-like, to give away all of these holy things and push them into a position where terrorist organizations and alliances are going to have access to that, as opposed to the ones who should. Something to consider. Another thing to be aware of, and there's different stories on there. Yesterday it was reported that there was an 8.4 earthquake in Libya. Now, this wasn't reported on all of the internet earthquake sites. The USGS did not report it. However, there were a number of others that did. You just need to kind of go through. Dutch Sense Online has some links to a number of sites that have posted the information. If you go to our page, you're going to find the videos with the links on them so you can check it out. It says, was this an earthquake or a nuclear weapon detonated in the Libyan desert? It would not surprise me if either Gaddafi or the West had secretly set a nuclear weapon off and then kept everything quiet. You decide. 2 European earthquake monitoring sites, here and here, reported an 8.4 earthquake deep inside the Libyan desert about 30 miles southeast of Sinawan on 19th of May. The epicenter was approximately 120 miles south of the Mediterranean coast and roughly 200 miles southwest of Tripoli. Oddly, this earthquake does not appear on the USGS website or any other earthquake reporting site. Interestingly, the largest nuclear device ever detonated, the 50-megaton Soviet-made Tsar Bomba, would have been capable of producing almost exactly an 8.4 earthquake on the Richter scale if it had been detonated deep underground. Is this earthquake being censored? If so, was it a subterranean detonation in a remote desert location to safely demonstrate Libya's nuclear capabilities to its Western attackers? The West would certainly want to contain that information to present widespread panic, since a 50-megaton nuke could utterly wipe out an entire metropolis. Was the earthquake the result of a NATO attack, or was the earthquake a real natural event, or simply a glitch in a pair of seismic instruments? Well, these are all good questions to know, and I think that we should keep investigating to find out. Now, with these stories that are going on here, as you can see, if you go to our YouTube page, there's still a number of alerts that are out there. Let's see what this one says here.
From somebody by the name of Carol, and it's very, very important because this is where the real truth comes out. It says here that the New Madrid fault to be set off on Saturday, May 21st, 2011. And that's the same day that a lot of people are predicting this rapture and end of the world, which I haven't truly been paying much attention to myself, but regardless. It says here that this person by the name of Carol, her future daughter-in-law, started working at the Marriott Hotel in Owensboro, Kentucky. She was told by the other girls that they overheard the military who have been staying there. More emergency alert, alert, New Madrid fault to be set off this Saturday, May 21st. Then she goes on. Her future daughter-in-law started work at Marriott Hotel in Owensboro, Kentucky. She was told by the other girls they overheard the military who's been staying there that the quake will go off Saturday. It says this Carol had 5 double-bladed helicopters fly over her house 2 days ago, heading towards Indiana. Indiana had strong earthquakes today, but the USGS does not reflect that. And the USGS is covering up this other earthquake today that was revealed by somebody, Two Dutch Synths, and he made a video about it.
All right, so you could see that there is a concern. This is the latest, that they are talking that tomorrow they are going to trigger something. The stories are up at our playlist there. It'll be available in about an hour. If you just go to YouTube, just type in there New Madrid earthquake. Or better yet, it's going to be easy. You can just go to our YouTube page and on the playlist there. But you see a number of interesting stories here to read and people's takes. Here's some more information about sinkholes taking place. Here we have Dutch Synths and his information about Turkey's earthquake, a 6.0 and 8.4 in Libya, things we were talking about. Check these things out. Go to our YouTube page, check these stories out, follow them up, see what you can find out about these. One thing I do want to bring your attention to as we are going into this weekend and all of these events are going on is I want to remind you about Project Bluebeam. It's a NASA project. The infamous NASA Bluebeam project has 4 different steps in order to implement the New Age religion with the Antichrist as its head. We must remember that the New Age religion is the very foundation of the New World government, without which religion the dictatorship of the New World Order is completely impossible. I'll repeat that. Without a universal belief in New Age religion, the success of the New World Order will be impossible. That is why the Bluebeam project is so important to them and has been hidden so well until now. Now, one thing to take note, it's interesting, where Project Bluebeam is being done by NASA. It talks about the Antichrist as its head, and the President of the United States happens to be somebody that Jesus particularly called out when he said lightning from the heights. Luke chapter 10 verse 18. So if these things coincide, now we have a NASA project that's going to be headed up by the Antichrist, and we have a president who allegedly, we'll use that term, allegedly has been called out by Jesus as being the Antichrist. So all important things to keep in mind. It says Project Bluebeam is important to them. Now, here's what they want to do with this Project Bluebeam. Very important. They have 4 different things they want to do with it. First, they want to engineer earthquakes and hoax some discoveries. The first step of the NASA Project Bluebeam concerns the breakdown or the reevaluation of all archaeological knowledge. It deals with the setup and artificially created earthquakes at certain precise locations on the planet, of supposed new discoveries which will finally explain to all people the error of all fundamental religious doctrines. The falsification of this information will be used to make all nations believe that their religious doctrines have been misunderstood for centuries and misinterpreted. Psychological preparations for the first step have already been implemented with the film 2001: A Space Odyssey, the Star Trek series, and Independence Day, all of which deal with invasions from space and the coming together of all nations to repel the invaders. The last film, Jurassic Park, deals with the theories of evolution and claim God's words are lies. What is important to understand in the first step is these earthquakes will hit at different parts of the world where scientific and archaeological teachings have indicated that arcane mysteries have been buried. By those types of earthquakes, it will be possible for scientists to rediscover these arcane mysteries, which will be used to discredit all fundamental religious doctrines. This is the first preparation for the plan for humanity, because what they want to do is destroy the beliefs of all Christians and Muslims on the planet. To do that, they need some false proof from the far past that will prove to all nations their religions have been misinterpreted and misunderstood. So, okay, first part, they want to create these earthquakes. They want to create situations where they bring things out of the ground and tell you that your archaeology and your beliefs in your religious structures are not right, that there's some new beliefs, new ideas. Once they do that, the second step is they want to give you a giant space show, 3-dimensional holographic sound laser projection of multiple holographic images to different parts of the world, each receiving a different image according to the predominating regional, national religious faith. The new God's voice will be speaking in all languages. In order to understand that, we must study as various secret services research done in the last 25 years. The Soviets have perfected an advanced computer, even exported them, and fed them with the minute physio-psychological particulars based on the studies of the anatomy and electromechanical composition of the human body, and the studies of electrical, chemical, and biological properties of the human brain. These computers were fed as well with the language of all human cultures and their meanings. The dialects of the cultures have been fed into the computers from satellite transmissions. The Soviets began to feed the computers with objective programs like the ones of the new Messiah. It also seems to the Soviets, the New World Order people have resorted to suicidal methods with the human society by allocating electromagnetic wavelengths for every person and every society and culture to induce suicidal thoughts of the person that doesn't comply with the dictates of the New World Order. Now, it talks about the first is the space show. Where does a space show come from? Well, it comes from holographic images used in a simulation of the ending, during which all nations will be shown scenes that will be the fulfillment of which they desire for their prophecies. They will be projected from satellites into the sodium layer about 60 miles above the Earth. We see tests every once in a while, but they are called UFO and flying saucer sightings. The results of these deliberately staged events will be to show the world the new Christ, the new Messiah, Maitreya, for immediate implementation of the New World religions. Enough truth will be foisted upon the unsuspecting world to hook them into the lie, even the most learned and well deceived. Now, one of the things they want to do with this is create a scenario where says the project has perfected the ability for some device referred to as the tractor beam by ufologists to lift up an enormous number of people, as in a rapture, and whisk the entire group into a never-never land. A third part about this Project Blue Beam is artificial thought and communication using the ELF, VLF, and LF waves, which would be extremely low frequency, very low frequency, and low frequency waves, all to go in and get into your head, to use it to make you think you're hearing things, taking messages from someone, or so forth. And the last one is an alien attack, an alien invasion. Well, if we look at what's going on lately, we can kind of see some ideas that this might be in place. What happened in Fort Worth, if you read through some of the postings afterwards, a lot of people thought it was a light show. Kept commenting, hey man, this needs some good music to it and this would be great. So people recognize it as a light show. That's exactly what Project Blue Beam is designed to do, be a light show in the sky. People are indoctrinated when they watch television shows. How many of you have watched this series V? And what was one of the common things you saw? You saw Anna being on the bottom of the spaceship in all these different countries, speaking to them in their native tongue, getting used to people looking up and seeing something in the sky. You've got earthquakes which are taking place. You've got HARP, which seems to be behind all of this and is being pointed out by the different abnormalities that are being shown in the radar patterns. Is this what's going to happen? I don't know. But it is just something that you should consider as you go into this weekend, that these things are out there. We are all told over and over again, the book of Revelation is a good reminder, and throughout the Bible, how God's children will be fooled. So don't be fooled. Just pay attention. They want to use this device. At the head of it, they want the Antichrist. So they want the Antichrist to use this device to fool people. If you put all the pieces together, it starts to paint a picture. You might not like the picture, but it does paint a picture indeed. All this being said, we've now come to the end of our time together here for this week and for the show. And as always, let's end it on a up note here. So take a moment, my friends, close your eyes, There's a lot of crazy things going on in the world right now, my friends. A lot of opportunities for people to get caught up with their emotions, to caught up in the dramas that are going on, to get caught up in the lies. So let us pray right now that all of us on this planet join together in the unity of a clear mind. So as these events are taking place, we can see clearly what is truly going on. Let us go into this time ahead of us with open hearts, to forgive the mistakes of the past, to find a way to understand the warnings of those who are trying to bring messages and warnings to the planet, and understand the spiritual teachings that are being brought to the planet. Let us learn to rise above the criticisms and the petty doubts and fears that we all have that hold each other back, and let's instead practice sending love around the planet. And at this moment, let's send love and light around the planet to everybody that we can possibly imagine. And imagine that at the same time love is being sent around to you from every place you could possibly imagine. And as all this light and love is being sent around the planet, take this love and focus it downward into the earth itself. For as we can tell, the earth is groaning and is going through her pains as well. She needs our help. So let us send that love and light down. And lastly, let's think a good thought for everybody. If indeed this is the time of the rapture, then let us all have open minds and open hearts to the plan that God has before us. And if indeed there is something more past this for us to understand, then let us pray that we all can move past this time and understand what this lesson was all about. If we are faced with the challenges of disasters over the course of this weekend, let us pray that we can get through these smoothly, with the least amount of injury, clear-headed, and focused on finding the solutions to all of these problems. And last, let's just imagine ourselves now having come to the end of a journey of a week, sitting and resting, feeling happy with all that has been accomplished over the course of this past week, ready to go on. Let's bring our energy and attention back to the present moment. Bring all your energy and attention back to the present moment. And let's do so on the count of three. 3 coming back to the present moment filled with confidence. 2 coming back to the present moment filled with faith. 1 coming back to the present moment happy, healthy, and whole. Happy, healthy, and whole. And that's it. Let's have a great weekend, everybody. Let's have a great weekend. No matter what goes on, try to remain positive. If you hear about any injuries or earthquakes or natural disasters, send some positive vibes that way. Remember, we're all in this together. So we're all going to get through this together. But it seems like I said, there's a lot coinciding, a lot to pay attention to. So just pay attention. That's the number one thing. By paying attention, you are already halfway there to dealing with the issue. All right? So that's it. Last thing I got to say is I love you. Light and love out to you. If this is the time where we're going, then let's have a good journey. Otherwise, if the good Lord has it in a plan that we're going to be here continuing on past this week, then I'll be back here on Monday. But in the meantime, you be safe. Love each other. Take care of each other. We're all in this together. For Dirk Bradshaw, my name's Josh Poet. I'll talk to you soon. Peace out.